Hi everyone, Paul here again. It's been a while since I've posted anything on YouTube. I thought today I would just post a little maintenance video of how I've redid the deck work on Edonismo today. If you've been following my Instagram, about 2 weeks ago I posted some photos of the varnish and bright work that was done on the top rails that came out amazing. I had done a video on varnishing about a year ago, and after doing that I realized that it's not one of my favorite tasks to do. It's very painstaking, time consuming. And so I got a guy a bunch younger that had a lot more patience. Dayton Strong was a boat captain that works pretty close to me in St. Petersburg. And he does some side jobs and does excellent work no matter what he does. And he was nice enough to do the bright work and varnish work for me on Edonismo. He laid down 15 coats of varnish. I used the Total Boat varnish on the top rails, and they just came out just beautiful. He did a really, really great job. But once that was done, I realized that now my teak decking was also in need of some tender loving care. So about 6 months ago, I had those redone when I was down in Fort Lauderdale, and Elite Yacht Services had that done for me, and they did an amazing job and made them look beautiful. But this time I decided to maybe try to tackle that project myself. It's not quite as bad as the varnish work. It just takes a couple of days of cleaning and putting down the stain. And I think it came out pretty well. I had Dayton help me, so it was a little bit easier project than if I had done it myself. So this video is just a little bit of what we used to do the project and how we did it. And hopefully you'll see the before and after and like it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to give them to me in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate it if you'd like subscribe and follow the channel. And like I promise on almost every video, hopefully by the end of this year, I'll actually be starting doing my big halfway around the world adventure. I'm still doing a couple of little customizations. I always seem to find something that I want to do before I leave. And once I get those done and I find that elusive crew member that I need to help me go halfway around the world, there'll be some more adventure and travel videos yet to come. So thanks for being patient with me on that. Hopefully it won't be too much longer. I'm hoping to maybe take off by early beginning of 2023. But I hope you like this little short video. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to give them down below. I thought I would start by giving you a brief overview of what the before looked like of the decks. It's even embarrassing to show. Believe it or not, this was redone about 6 months ago, and they looked absolutely beautiful. But even though there's not a lot of wear and tear on Edonismo, since I'm basically the only one aboard most of the time, the sun and the weather has a way of immediately start to deteriorate any kind of coverings that you put on the decking. Even though I use the Semco, which has a UV block and it's supposed to be very protective and a very good sealer, even with that, it really needs to be maintained at least minimum every 6 months. If you can keep up with it and just do a good washing and maybe another extra recoat every 3 or 4 months, it won't get quite this bad. But unfortunately, things got a little bit away from me. Life has a way of getting involved, and there was a lot of things going on, and I couldn't keep up with it like I should. So the first big project was the varnish work, and if you can see how beautiful that came out, it really looks really, really great. But that amplified just how bad the teak decking had gotten. So I knew it was time that we needed to do something before there was any kind of damage that would actually be done. If you notice a lot of those black marks, that's not just dirt, that's actually mold that starts to grow in there because water tends to accumulate. Almost every morning where I sit in St. Petersburg at my marina, there's condensation that comes off the boat itself and tends to pool in certain areas until the sun can burn it off. And that is just a breeding ground for mold and any kind of germs and things that can get into the teak. So good cleaning is needed to get all that stuff out. So I think you'll see in a little while here the actual after pictures. It's pretty amazing how just a little bit of elbow grease and a little bit of tender loving care can bring those decks right back to where they should be. So in the next few seconds we'll go over some of the products that I use to actually do the project. It's actually pretty simple. It's basically a really good cleaning and then using the Semco product to seal the decks for about another few months. Like with any project, you need some good protective gear just to keep yourself from getting damaged while doing the job. Some of these chemicals have acid in them, so they can be a little bit hard on your hands. So a good pair of gloves, anything that works for you that you can still protect your hands is work. These are the ones that I used. Also, you'll be doing a lot of hands and knees work on this job, so a good set of knee pads comes really in handy. And if you're having a little trouble what to get your wife or girlfriend for Christmas, it also makes a great stocking stuffer. Just FYI. Anyway, and then the boots are just you'll be walking around and a lot of the cleaning fluids are a little bit acidic, so a good pair of boots to keep your feet safe is also good to have. Like any project, preparation is really the key to making a good project. So I like to use this Scotch yellow tape. It's much superior to the blue tape that most people use. It's made for exterior surfaces, holds up for 7 to 10 days in all kinds of weather, and doesn't leave any residue when you remove it. So I covered all the stainless with that might get scratched otherwise with the coarse pads. A lot of you are probably familiar with Snappy Teak, the two-part cleaner. I decided to go with Starbright, which is a one-part cleaner and brightener all in one. The decks were not that bad and didn't need that severe cleaning, so that worked perfectly for my application. As far as to actually clean the decks, these scouring pads seem to work the best. I've tried brushes and things before, but the scouring pads seem to work the best ones for me. The coarse ones make a little less elbow grease needed to do the cleaning, so they all work, but the coarse one does it with a little bit less effort. For certain areas, I used a deck brush and smaller brushes for some of the areas that I couldn't reach with the bigger brush. The shore hold system has a pole with attachments that you can use all these different brushes with, so I just snapped those pads onto that little holder and worked like a charm. For my sealer of choice, I chose Semco. I've used their products in the past and I'm very happy with them. They're very easy to apply and they come in various colors from clear to darker brown. I chose the gold tone for my application. I just like the way that one looks and it tends to hold up a little bit better in the sun for a little longer period of time. But what color you choose is totally up to your own personal preference. The sticks that I had there, that's just basically you have to keep it mixed up really well while you're doing the application so that you get a uniform color throughout. Basically, you just apply it with microfiber towel, preferably a lint-free one, and you put it on just like stain. You just literally wipe it on. It soaks into the wood, dries very quickly, and then you put on a second coat right on top of it, and it dries nice and evenly. Cleanup is also very simple. If you happen to get any on the gel coat or paint while you're putting the application on, all it takes is a clean rag with a little mineral spirits and it wipes right up. For some really hard areas, if you left them on there for a little while and it dried, you may have to go with something a little stronger like an acetone, but I've never had to go that hard. Even the next day, usually mineral spirits will clean up any over drips very easily. Part of the preparation is going over any of the stainless or aluminum parts of the boat that may get scratched when you're using those scouring pads. They tend to be a little bit like a Brillo pad, and if you're not careful, you could scratch up the surfaces. So I just went around and covered them with that yellow tape so that when I was doing the cleaning, didn't have to worry about any overspray or scratches. The cleaning when you're using the one-part system is pretty straightforward. You just basically get a bucket, pour the chemical on the deck and scrub. And it really keeps it nice and clean in a really short period of time. If the deck is really dirty, you can pour it on dry wood. If the deck, like in my case, wasn't that bad, we wet the decks down first and then put the chemical on and scrubbed it off. And then it's very important to rinse it thoroughly when you're done to make sure all that chemical is washed away. The one part is not quite as acidic or bad for the environment as the two part, but it's still a little bit of a harsh chemical, so you have to make sure that you do wash it away and let it give a good chance to dry the next day. You can see that after just the washing alone, the decks look almost like new again. The cleaner works really, really well to brighten it up and bring back the original look of the wood. Unfortunately, once it dries, that shine and gloss goes away, so which is why you need to go ahead and seal it. But right after the washing, it looks pretty amazing. And then the next day, after you gave it plenty of time to dry, it's time for the application process. And as you can see, what Dayton's doing here, basically you just take a rag, dip it into the stain, and just put it on like you were staining a piece of furniture. And it's pretty much as simple as it gets. You just wipe it in, it'll dry very quickly, and then you can put a second coat, which evens things out and darkens the color just a little bit. And considering we have about 800 square feet of teak, it took a little while, but came out pretty well. And now for the big reveal. This is the finished product. Because of the lighting and some of the shadows, it looks a little bit uneven in some areas, but you'll have to take my word for it that it actually is pretty uniform throughout the entire project. Like I said, we had about 800 square feet of teak, so for Dayton and I, it took us 1 full day of washing and 1 full day of putting 2 coats of stain on. So all in all, not too bad. It's about a 2-day project. And like I said, if you can stay on top of it and do it every few months, just add a coat. It just needs a light cleaning and then another application, and it keeps it looking like that for much longer. So hopefully this time I won't let it get away from me, and I'll be able to keep it looking pretty much like new again. But hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments about what we did and how we did it, please feel free to leave a comment down below. And I hope to have some better videos for you in the future of traveling and world adventures. Thanks again for watching. Appreciate it.